Hello and welcome to the Quadcast right here in 8.7 KIGC. And as you see, we are not in the radio station. We are actually in the production studio here at the school. And we are live right now. Like, we are not in the radio. We have cameras. We have all the whole shebang.
Lights.
And this is kind of real right now. And before I get carried away, let's introduce our Quadcasters. And to my right is...
John, you always get carried away, but this is Kurt Sodak.
And in the studio controlling all the stuff that's going on right now is...
NickGuyHarris.
And...
Shannon Farrier.
Boo and ya. And today we're going to talk about awesome, nerdy movie stuff. And this is what we do in the Quadcast, have fun and talk about nerdy stuff. But Nick, let's take it away.
All right, well, let's jump right into it here, and we're going to get started with some conversation on this weekend's big Hollywood blockbuster showdown. One of the first big showdowns, I think, of the summer, wasn't it? Not? Anybody disagree with that? But
I don't know.
didn't do a lot of research on that. I just made that comment, Shannon.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if that's one of the big showdowns. I've not yet heard those two being compared so much.
Well,
so.
I don't know. If
Go
you're
with it. Go
going,
with what you feel.
It's off of box office at mojo.com.
Fair
I
enough.
think they know about box office. So.
It's Mayweather and Pacquiao. Comparison.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Pretty close.
Pretty close.
That
Anyway, so, well, it's the first time that a couple movies that weren't maybe in the same demographic kind of showed down against each other. Pitch Perfect's kind of hitting towards the teen audience. MadMax is more for the adult, male-centric audience, I think. So, and they both...
According to some stuff in the reviews, we're going to get into...
What?
Dun, dun,
What
dun.
stuff is that? Well, let's laugh track, guys. Let's jump back into it then and just talk a little bit about maybe nobody's thought about it more, I guess, except
More
for
than
me.
you,
But
yeah.
How did
Do
you
you
feel, Nick?
think that, Pitch Perfect made about $75 million. Mad Max made about $46 million.
Ooh.
So do you think Mad Max made a mistake by going R? Or do you think that the counter-programming probably worked in its favor and it was never going to make more than that on its opening weekend? John, what are your thoughts?
Well, I guess watching the movie, there was a couple times where I was thinking maybe they could have maybe cleaned up some things and made it not so much of a hard R, but it wasn't even much of a hard R. But I mean, you have to come back at Pitch Perfect was like a sleeper hit of
2011.
2011. I mean, people were like, "Oh, this movie looks stupid," and then once it came out, everyone freaked out.
Nobody
about it.
said that movie was stupid. No one.
I'm pretty sure.
No
I
one.
I didn't remember
No.
seeing a preview for it whatsoever. And now the fact that the sequel comes out and it's riding off of like
I think
a
you're
huge
just making
hit.
stuff up now. Nick makes
And
up like the two
John,
of them going head to head.
gonna
You're
take it
making
over
up
from you.
everything else. Like,
I'm going to sum up your point, John.
What are you talking about? I'm just saying that out of nowhere. Hold on. I did not
I'm going
think.
to clean this mess up
I think
here.
Pitch
got it.
Perfect probably was just gonna. Okay, you know
What
what?
you were trying to say, John, is it's unfair to compare.
Of course, Kurt, you would know
Because-
this because this is your type of
No, no.
movie.
Yeah, it
Because
is.
you like little girl movies, so it's
Hey,
okay.
I
There were a
was-
lot of tweens and teens there too, so
Hey,
you probably would have been
That
at
sounds like
company.
my audience.
Well, as long as you commit it, that's always fine
Anyways,
by me.
what he's trying to say is it's unfair to compare Mad Max to Pitch Perfect because Pitch Perfect has already have an audience, you know. Mad
Well,
Max
so does Mad
too.
Max, but they're
Well, I
probably
mean,
dead. So
Well,
30 years ago. Well, maybe not dead,
the
but
returning
old.
audience there.
Good God. Come
We're
on
gonna
now. It's not
nitpick
that
tonight.
long. John, there were movies made pre-2001, okay?
Yeah, but okay, never mind. We'll go on.
John admits
Hey.
defeat, and we move on in this
Yes.
story. I don't know if we ever even made like a
Round
valid, a valid point.
Yeah, I don't know
on
why you
that.
started off with me. Go with Kurt, because I mean, you
All
know
right,
what?
well,
Never
let's
mind.
jump to Kurt. Kurt, you obviously have some strong feelings in the opposite direction.
No, unfortunately, I was unable to see any of these movies this weekend. I was real busy.
Yo.
as you guys know.
Fail.
Fail.
What I'm
Get
going
out of here.
for, what I'm going for here is it's unfair, to compare Mad Max to Pitch Perfect just because, Pitch Perfect already have an audience, returning audience, you know. So, other than the action goers that have seen Mad Max, they're all jumping to it. That's all I have to say. Pitch Perfect's drawing in people. And more people, because now, like you said, it's a sleeper hit. And,
I would probably say it's more kind of because the teen audience makes up a bigger demographic.
Well, yeah.
Other than, maybe not necessarily that there's not a fan base for Mad Max. I think it may make up some of that probably on the back end with the with kind of that home market. I think the problem is the MadMax crowd is like they don't come out to theaters as often anymore. Not like the tween crowd.
No, yeah,
where they have
definitely.
expendable amounts of cash because it's not their own.
No, yeah,
responsibility.
Yeah, right.
And the people that are going to see Mad Max have kids and married and like, "Hey, we got to pay the bills. I can't watch this movie."
See, I guess
There's
I didn't
shame.
even see that as being the audience, though, for Mad Max. For Mad Max, like, I kind of saw not the Fast and Furious crowd, but a younger demographic, like all the bros out there to watch Tom Hardy and all of
Okay.
this stuff. So I guess I didn't get that at all, that it was going to be a lot of the returning previous Mad Max fans. Like, I just didn't see that being the big draw to the box office.
Yeah, I don't know. Just from past experience with my beloved 80s franchises coming back and making late-stage comebacks, I kind of knew that they get, in the nerd communities and online, they get talked up really big, but then they don't quite ever, that's not a very big demographic that goes to the movies and support it. So, yeah, really to really blow the roof off of it on a big action spectacle that's going to be, $100,000 or $100 million budget or higher, you really have to tap into that tween market.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the one thing you want to do if you want to get that market is probably not go up against like a teen darling like
Well, if they
Pitch
came
Perfect.
out like I would say if they came out the week before, I would say they probably would have had a better chance of getting a larger box office just because they would have their own. I mean, they wouldn't have to compete against like a huge comeback like Pitch Perfect, and now
Personally, I think they should have come out at Christmas time. I think would have been a great time for them.
yeah.
Just because there wouldn't have been as much stiff competition in the long run, and especially since it got a 98%, like pretty much universal praise from the critics. I
Mad
think.
Max did?
Yeah.
This Mad Max?
Last time I checked, it was like out of 175 reviews, 2 people gave it rotten reviews. It's just universally praised and across the board. So I think that's the kind of property that may do better at Christmas time, because then there's nothing in January and February. That's
Yeah.
kind of what Avatar and Titanic did, They kind of build steam going
but
into
those
those
are
months.
movies. Also, you got to look at those are movies of such epic scale, and they were geared towards everybody that they're going to make a lot of movie. Where Mad Max
True.
is not so much geared towards everybody; it's more towards, I would say, action lovers, and I would
Yeah.
even say, like, because I said I thought people that enjoyed like post-apocalyptic games, like they should totally watch this movie just because.
People like on the weekends like to go out and murder each other with axes and like
Talking about, I should say
cars
video
and
games.
stuff
Sorry,
like that. Oh, video games.
not
Okay,
not real games.
kind of threw me off for a second there.
I guess that should have been implied. My bad.
No, I thought it sounded like some LARPing or something, like some light.
Well,
I
there's
did
no
some
shame in
light,
that. I enjoy
apocalyptic battles over the weekend. I killed a guy. It was pretty
You
horrific.
use your
We had
Nerf,
our own
you use
version of
Nerf
the Purge,
guns,
you know,
and
it
then you
happened.
have
Yep.
a go-kart, and then you're technically already playing Mad Max.
We
so
know
you
we know
think you're
we
fine.
know what audience John went to see this movie with.
Yeah, a bunch of homicidal maniacs. So yeah,
All right,
suicidal
well,
ones too.
Let's jump over to the other side of it, which is Pitch Perfect. Do you think that you guys, I did not get to see it, so I guess maybe Shannon, do you think it deserved taking number 1 this weekend with $76
I don't.
million?
I can't believe that I'm saying this, but
Yeah.
I was not really that big of a fan of Pitch Perfect 2. So coming from me, who was
Yeah.
like the ultimate
Well-
Pitch Perfect fan, like this one just, I don't want to, I would
Yeah.
rather you go in with low expectations.
It was
Nick,
like
than think
a
it's gonna be
hot
great.
circle of really bad pizza, not garbage, but bad pizza.
What does it even mean?
means you can eat it because you're hungry, but other than that, if you had to sit down and eat it yourself, you'd be like, forget this.
Way to be
Like,
original is all I
you
gotta
eat
say.
it. You eat it. Your friends make it. It's like a Totino's pizza. They're garbage,
Yeah.
but like
Okay.
your friends and they offer. And you're like,
I
okay.
think what he's going for is that it's like pizza in the fact that even bad pizza is good pizza, right?
This is true.
Maybe.
I can
Yeah,
totally go
I
with
mean
that,
the movie
yeah.
was bearable, but at the end of the day, I was like, I'm never watching that movie again. That was, I wanted to cut my wrists, kind of.
Oh my goodness!
That
wow.
escalated quickly.
Wow.
Yeah, that was
Easy.
bad. That was bad.
And that was just because of the tweens in the audience, because they would not shut up and drove me
Oh,
nuts.
okay. Well, I liked the first one quite a bit, and I'll probably end up going to see the second one. But to me, the preview looked like kind of an uninspired sequel.
See, I guess
I'm sorry,
I
I
knew it
didn't
was
think
gonna
it
be
looked
that
very
good,
funny
yeah.
from the preview. Did you kind of think it did, or?
I thought it was at least going to be, kind of like you got your money's
Yeah.
worth thing. But to me, it wasn't even that. Like the music, honestly, it wasn't even good. It kind of reminded
No.
me of the show Glee, which I don't think you guys have really watched. But I used to be a diehard Glee just binge watched the series for the first couple of seasons because the music was good, the story was good, and then towards the end, like last 3 and 4 season, it just, the musical numbers, like they used every good song. And that's kind of how this was. Like, I get that they were kind of trying to throw it back a little bit. They're kind of trying to go a little retro, use some oldies to kind of bring everybody together and unite them, but
it didn't really work.
No, it didn't. And they didn't even do a lot of mashups. It lost for me.
The worst part about it was, like, the people that had the best songs were not the good guys. And also, like, they gave the longest musical number to the 2 worst singers in the entire movie. I'm like, you got to be freaking kidding me. Like, whose idea was this? Because obviously no one thought this through.
To the 2 Germans? Is that who we're talking about?
Well, let's not get too deep into a discussion of that quite yet, because I think we can probably do one on a later podcast. But let's jump to our next topic that I know that both of you are going to be very passionate about, and it's talking about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, which is the Michael Bay produced, not directed. I don't know if the same director's coming back. Was it Louis Leterrier? Or,
I have no idea.
I don't remember his name. But they're releasing some stills. I wanted to touch on those really quick and get some reactions on what you guys think about. Let's take a look at the new... I'm assuming this is the new Turtle van.
Turtle Mobile?
The Turtle Mobile? I don't know.
It looks a lot cooler. I mean, granted, the old one looked kind of... The one in the movie, which they kind of teased, looked okay. But, like, this one looks more, like, rugged. And I have a high feeling that Donnie's probably got a lab in the back of that thing where he's making
I could see that.
Like the pizza shooter. I mean, he's probably going to shoot out
didn't the last movie
pizzas.
End with them having a van that looked a lot like the Turtle van, Shannon?
I didn't see, but I still have not seen the
haven't
reboot
seen it?
TMNT.
What?
No, I have not yet. So
You
I've
call
still
yourself
got
a Turtle fan?
I've been busy.
All right. Dang it. Well, anyway, that's the new mobile. I guess I was thinking that was just a little weird because the last movie ends with them in like a new Turtle mobile, and then all of a sudden they show this. So I don't know. I guess it's not
Maybe it's
totally
not great.
uncool,
But the old the old Turtle mobile didn't have. I mean, I guess it had like a rocket launcher, but this one looks like it might actually have maybe some more stuff. I mean, this is just an image that I've just seen. So
okay.
I mean, looking at. There's got a big dumpster in the back. I'm thinking kind of like how Hellboy had like their own like undercover dumpster. Dump truck, like mobile or whatever. This is kind of what I'm thinking maybe for the Turtles. And there's probably going to be some cool gadgets inside of there.
Yeah, maybe.
So we may kind of get the more comic book.
You've sold me on it, I guess.
So I'm kind of sold. I mean,
well, let's take a look at the next picture here they released was of Casey Jones being in the next one. And he's being played by the dude that plays Arrow. I didn't do my research and get his name.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Steve Amell?
Sure.
Yes.
Run with
Steve
it.
Anal, that's the guy.
Not Anal. Amell. Oh, God. Yes, Steve Anal is playing this guy.
I don't know. What do you guys think? This is my favorite Turtles character, so I'm not all that happy with it. But
I'm used to Casey Jones with the long hair and, not the short hair. I do like the mask. The mask kind of already says Casey Jones to me, but in the end, I'm kind of looking like, dude, he needs to have the long, like, nasty, just like metal rocker hair.
Where's his hair? And was it just me, or did you kind of get the feeling that Will Arnett was going to be? Well, I mean, what the heck is Will Arnett in the movie if he's not Casey Jones?
If he was Casey Jones, I would have been
he would have been great. I would have taken him as Casey Jones over this guy.
No, because this guy's Arrow, and he already can kick butt and stuff. And I'm just thinking,
show's terrible. You don't even watch that show.
I know, it is terrible. But I'm trying to give the guy a second chance, okay? I thought he did okay the first couple episodes, and then the show just sucked.
All right, well, the last one that I was also disappointed with here was
So this is basically Nick's hate rant.
they cast Bebop. So awesome that Bebop is going to be in the next movie, Rocksteady and Bebop, but they casted the nerdy guy from Boston Legal. Is he in Malcolm in the Middle as well?
He's the kid with the that's in the wheelchair's dad.
Okay, I just to me that when I think of Bebop, I just don't think of him. But again, I didn't do my research and get his name.
Maybe he's just gonna mocap it and just play a voice, and that's it.
Yeah, that could be. He does have an interesting voice, so we're gonna give him the benefit of the doubt because I did like him in Boston Legal. So, but anyway, that was my small rant on the new Ninja Turtle movie. I just thought we might get something going, being that everybody's a big fan of it.
Do you think Shredder's going to come back then, or do you think they're just going to try to float a movie with Rocksteady and Bebop, who were like the two biggest idiots?
Shredder's coming back, and they recast Shredder, so there's
actually an Asian man.
It's not the guy that played him in the first one. Remember, they had that like tacked-on scene where it seemed
that was
like everybody
obviously
everybody complained
in post, and not and not the fact that like, oh well, just kidding. It's really not this guy, like William Fincher or whatever his name is.
Right.
It's actually this Asian dude that we found out of nowhere. So he's gonna play the Shredder.
Yeah,
Don't
right.
worry, guys.
Just conveniently after everybody got mad. But
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's jump into our first review here. We're going to do of Mad Max Fury Road.
And
Go ahead, John.
we are back. See, we're not in the studio together, so I can't tell.
I know,
what's
it's hard to
going
go.
We're working
It's
it out.
crazy.
We're working it out.
It's all good. It's all good. So we're back on the Quantum Quadcast, and we're going to go into our long review of Mad Max. And since this is probably, I would say, Nick's favorite film so far this year, maybe, I'm going to let him take it away.
All right. Well, yeah, it definitely was one of my favorites. I liked it. I
Nailed
liked it a
it.
little bit, but I might have to take the opposite side on it for this review too, because I had a lot of problems with it. So, but let's jump right into it and go around the room, and everybody can talk a little bit about their kind of just really quickly about their feelings on it, whether they liked it or didn't like it. Kurt, let's start with you.
Well, we're going to start with me because I haven't seen it. But what I'm going to tell you...
Oh, that's a good point. I
No, that's
forgot
okay.
you hadn't seen
Let
it.
him
but-
get it out.
This is
Let
my,
him
can
get
I
it
get,
out.
Can I get my impression in from
Yes.
the trailers and stuff I saw?
Sure.
I can at least do that, so I can attribute something to this. When I seen the trailers for it, I thought, this looks like it's going to be action-packed throughout the whole movie. I don't know how long it ran, but even this picture even just goes on and tell me, yeah, look at that action.
There's just a truck and dust. There's no action there.
Okay, whatever. But what did it hold up to that? I'll let you guys answer that.
All right. Well, John, what were your thoughts?
Well, I went into the movie kind of with no expectations whatsoever, and I was just like, you know what? Either way, I'm probably going to be pleasantly surprised because all the stuff I've read is that it's going to be a nonstop, just chase movie. So I'm like, let's go for it. And I sat down, and I did not have a time to breathe because it was just so intense, and it was just like I said, a nonstop thrill ride full of adrenaline junkie funness.
All right. Well, you seem to like it. Shannon, what were your thoughts on the film?
I did like it. I mean, I don't entirely know why I liked it. You know,
Okay.
I'm kind of still trying to decide.
Well, we're gonna get into that. We're
You
gonna
know,
we're gonna flesh that out.
It was definitely, like you said, John, a 2-hour chase movie, which was kind of fun. I think it was like an hour in there, and I was just like, geez, like this chase goes on forever. Like, it just seemed like the whole thing was kind of just built up rather than like an ebb and a flow that it normally has. It was just kind of consistent, which was an interesting change. But it's like I almost needed a break after a little
Yeah.
bit. Like,
Yeah, I could see
give me a
that.
break, please.
I felt similar to that as well, kind of, in that it didn't seem to pause as much. So I'm kind of a mixture on this. We saw it in the XD cinema, so that's a bigger screen and just a killer sound system. So it was the perfect movie to see in that setting.
Yes.
And I really enjoyed watching it because it was just like explode your ears fantastic in this theater. And this is
We
a
were
movie
yelling at each other after the movie 'cause we couldn't
yeah,
hear.
it's just the sound design and the stunt design and all the stunts are in camera, or most of the stunts are in camera. There's not much CGI, and cars just tearing back and forth really sounded great in the optimal sound theater. So I really enjoyed viewing it, but I would like to get into a few of my issues here kind of moving forward, because there were a few problems with the film. But probably mostly just being like, did you guys feel that Mad Max was the star of this film?
No.
No, not exactly.
John, why not?
Well, if you notice, he's in the movie, but like over half of the movie, he's either tied up or that's it. He's tied up or his face is covered. You barely, towards the middle of the movie, you finally get to see him, and then maybe he talks for, I think he has, a total of maybe 10 minutes of lines.
No, I don't think it was that. He had about 4 lines altogether, I
Yeah.
think, and that's not uncommon of
No.
the Mad Max films,
But-
because I don't feel like Mel Gibson did a lot of talking either. But
No.
I think another side of this problem for me on Mad Max 2 was that I don't feel like Tom Hardy has the screen presence to bring what Mel Gibson does to a near
Yeah, he was
silent
kind
role.
of-
So
he was kind of in the background almost, just because it is Tom Hardy and he doesn't have that screen presence like you were saying.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the big thing I realized, when he was because in the movie he's tied up through half of it and he's being used as a blood bag, but which was kind of a cool idea. But in the end,
Yeah.
I didn't feel anything for the character. If oh man, if he's gonna die or whatever, I just knew well, nothing can happen to him because it's Mad freaking Max. He's not gonna do anything. It's not like he doesn't have that. I guess he just didn't have that presence that I was really kind of expecting from him.
Yeah, me neither. Shannon, did you kind of feel something similar to that, or?
You know, it wasn't. They just really didn't use him like you were saying. I mean, I guess I did think the entire movie was going to be about Mad Max. I've not seen the original, series though with Mel Gibson, so I didn't have that to compare it to. But this was not what I expected at all. So I was wondering how much of that was similar to the originals, which I think from what I've gathered is that not much, basically. It's kind of what was similar, not much at all.
No, I wouldn't say that. It was very similar, and I think one thing I don't mind that he wasn't in the movie a lot. I think it was more that I don't know, I just didn't like, it's not that I don't like Tom Hardy. He's a lot like Cumberbatch.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Benedict Cumberbatch. And the fact that I don't think either of them are bad actors, I just don't think they have screen presence. I don't know. They don't, you know what I mean? They just don't bring that crackle to the screen like a Matthew McConaughey does, or Mel Gibson, or, just the movie stars of that era that really made their careers off of screen presence. I don't know. Do you feel that at all, Shannon, or?
I would definitely agree with you. I was trying to think about it, and I was like, well, he was a great Bane, but then I was like, he didn't really do much as Bane. Like, he just kind of stood around muscly, like just hanging out to his best. So.
It's kind of, to me, it's like, what do they bring to the role? What is it that they do that goes beyond the page? And I don't feel like there was much here. I mean, obviously, Gibson made a whole career off of his screen presence and personality, and then also used that same personality to destroy that career. But you can't deny that the guy had talent and just was fun to watch. So I think he brought that to the screen. I don't feel like Tom Hardy has that. I've seen him in other things. I don't dislike him. I thought for a guy that you're going to have like 4 lines of dialogue and needs to be the standout of the film without being the main character of the film, you need a guy that really like oozes screen presence. Yeah,
well,
so
basically.
Go ahead, John.
Okay. Well, I thought it was weird that that they picked Tom Hardy just for this person to play Mad Max from the beginning, because I was thinking like, oh, really? Like they're gonna pick Tom Hardy, the guy who played Bane? Okay, like, because I have not seen a Tom Hardy film where he's really kind of the main central character, aside from Bronson, which was a foreign film from Britain, And
he did kind of have some personality in that one. I thought he needed to bring a little more of that to the screen.
That's
maybe,
what I thought, but like all of his American films so far that I've seen, he doesn't have much of a screen presence. I mean, he's usually the side character. I mean, like Star Trek Nemesis, The Dark Knight, and Inception. He's usually just that side character that kind of adds like the muscle-bound kind of just, you can tell this guy's a tough guy, or he's going to do something that, he's either going to shoot a gun off or break someone's back. But but I mean, when you get down to it, I have not seen him in a film, at least an American film, where he's like the main central character and he's also really kind of just stand out. Oh man, like he's got some presence. Like
I feel the same way, and I don't think that was my biggest problem with him playing Mad Max, is he didn't bring that kind of thing to the screen. But I don't want to get that mixed up with the fact that he wasn't in the film as much as I thought he would in a Mad Max film, because I kind of like that. I kind of like the idea. I mean, the movie's called Fury Road, and the main character to me was Furiosa, played by Charlize Theron. And I liked the idea that the movie centered around her character as much as, the story allowed, which wasn't, much of a story. But so I liked him as being that kind of side character that comes in and interacts and helps. I guess the other movies are kind of like that too, only it feels like it features more Mad Max as the main character, I think, especially the third one. But the second one, he kind of does the same thing where he wanders in and helps like this ragtag band of people or something.
And that's kind of how I felt that this movie was kind of mirroring a little bit, because the second one, I read somewhere in trivia, like he has like a total of 12 minutes of like, put his lines together, he had like 12 minutes out of like a 2-hour-long movie. And and he was kind of, like you said, he was kind of this guy that comes rolling off the street and then helps out these people that are like own this like gas business, or like that own this like oil refinery or whatever, from these other kind of road warrior-esque people.
Nick does not agree.
Whatever, dude. That's what in the... Oh my gosh, whatever. You know what? I'll let you take this away, since I obviously...
No, now he's mad.
You're so happy with yourself about it. See, but I guess, to me, the standout of the movie was Nicholas Hoult, right? That's the guy who played the war boy. At first I didn't even recognize him. He was in, he played, who was the blue creature in X-Men?
Beast.
Yeah,
Beast.
Beast. He played Beast.
The
He's
blue
been in a
creature,
few other
Shannon.
things. I can't think
Where's
of
your
it right
nerd
now.
cred at now?
But, I didn't even recognize him at first, which I thought was good. And then he kept going. I was just like, this is the only guy or the only person, really, who's standing out in the cast. Like, you have Charlize Theron in there. You're not really utilizing her to, I think, a decimal point of her potential. So it just kind of didn't have anybody
true.
stand out other than him, and he was a side character. So, for a supporting role to be the star of it, that's kind of weird to me. I didn't really dig that part, but
Okay. I could see that. Yeah, it's definitely a weird choice. So, but to me, I guess it was just I was hoping for a stronger performance, kind of out of Tom Hardy. But I can't complain. I don't think he was terrible or anything. I don't know. Just having when he got the suit back on with the shoulder pad and he had the knee brace and everything, I was a little nerded out inside. So, so it was all right. But
but to bring up a point as far as the originals go versus this, is that kind of how the originals were, where Mad Max is kind of just helping facilitate almost, or is he the star?
I don't know. It has been a long time since I watched the second one. The third one, it always kind of starts the same with somebody like wrecks or steals his car, and then he ends up wandering into some weird place, be it Bartertown, or in the second one, the outpost that had the gas refinery. Or
See, I was
So
right.
no.
Why
So I
you
think no
telling
is
me
the
I
I
was
think
wrong?
you are right. Yeah, I don't know. You said it was like a gas depot or something. I don't know. Maybe it was. I haven't
Okay,
seen it for
yeah,
a long
that's what
time.
I
So you're redeemed. You got me on that one. But
Back.
You going totally redeem
You
yourself.
totally redeemed yourself.
well, he just wanders into the kind of their camp too, because his car gets wrecked at the beginning, and then he kind of makes a deal to help them out, but it's kind of self-serving to him. He's just looking for gas, basically. Where I didn't think this one was quite as self-serving. It was almost like savior
like he had
angel guy
nothing
or
better to
something.
do.
Yeah, kind of.
Do you think they kind of framed the movie around that aspect, though? I mean, he had these weird visions that I'm assuming is his daughter? And
I guess that was one of my questions at the end. Like, I just assumed it was his daughter, but would anybody that hadn't seen the first movie assume that? Shannon, what did you
See, that's what I
assume?
kept wondering. I just kept wondering, like, did this, is this kind of a nod to the original movies? Are these flashbacks all these people he's failed kind of a thing? Or is it just
No flashbacks in the other
assumed
films.
that these are people that he, very clearly, okay, he let them die kind of a thing. Not that he let them die, but he feels like he let them die.
Well, because
So.
I read somewhere like they showed it, like some of the imagery from like the flashes of whatever that was, whether it was like a psycho trip or something. Like they said they referenced the movies in some way, shape, or form, and like the dude with like his eyes like beating out or whatever was one of them I remember, and they said it was like the villain from the first movie, I presume, I think is what it said. And then I thought I could have swore the little girl said, "Come follow me, Dad," towards the end of the movie, which is why I'm
maybe she
thinking.
did.
And then I
don't
thought he
remember
even
that.
introduced it as like I had a daughter and a family or something, and then they showed like this little.
He
girl
did.
getting
I
run
just thought
over.
they were going to go somewhere with that because it seemed like there was other voices in his head maybe too, and I couldn't tell if those were his own voices talking to him or if those were the because they set up all these women in the film too, with almost in a weird way that I thought maybe they had some kind of like. What do you call it? No, special superpower. They could read minds.
Telepathy.
Telekinesis thing or something.
Yeah,
like they were
telekinesis.
calling him as their savior to help them or something.
There was one girl in particular out of the breeder wives that kind of weirded me out because she said some weird stuff that I was like, are they going to explain this a little bit more, or she just kind of weird? I was like the one that was like really super blonde and like the dark circles under her eyes. Like there was a couple times where like
For the wives or for the women
wife.
that they...
For the women that Charlize Theron saved.
Okay.
And she said
The
something.
breeders,
yes,
as they
the
called
breeders.
them.
Yeah, and she said something to say something about like do you see that like trickle over there in the distance or something like that? I don't know. It was really weird how they like portrayed it, so I didn't know if they were going to do anything like explain like her, like does she have some sort of telepathy or telekinesis, or is it just we're just going to go with it?
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of got that feeling too at certain points, but I don't feel like they ever really fleshed that out either. I guess the other big complaint for me was that I think the film started stronger than it ended. Like I
definitely.
thought, like the first 45 minutes was way more intense than the last 45 minutes, where I think they should have. This is like the Casino Royale thing all over again, where they kind of blow their wad in the first 45 minutes, the first half hour, first big action piece, and then they have nothing left for the finale of the film. There's just no way to top it. So I thought they had this crazy opening, prolonged sequence. I mean, the whole movie's pretty much one chase, but if you break it up into a first chase, a middle chase, and a last chase, I didn't think like they really topped it towards the end. And by that point, they hadn't had enough character development, and I didn't really care about the characters enough. I mean, a pregnant woman gets sucked under a car at one point in this movie, and I was kind of like, oh, that's pretty hardcore. They did that, but I didn't really feel for her or anything. You know what I mean? Did anybody else feel that? Or
I would say I didn't as much as, you'd think that happened, and you'd be like, ooh, she fell,
yeah, right.
Whatever,
that's what I thought too. But I was like, we haven't really been set up to care about these characters yet, or they haven't done a whole lot. So, I mean, a lot of the characters die at the end, and I didn't really care when any of them died.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. When that character died, when the pregnant lady died, I guess I just really wanted to hear, what's his name? Animus Joe? Gosh dang it. The lame lost. The main villain of the movie.
Villain,
I just wanted to hear him speak. Like that, like, from the very beginning when he started, like, the first trailer that they actually have, like, a different voiceover where it's the villain's voice going over. I'm like, this is already going to be freaking cool. And, but no, I can't agree with you. There's a couple times where some of the characters I just could care less about. I mean, the pregnant lady, like when she fell down, I kind of was like, oh, well, she's gonna die because she's hanging on the door. So obviously, and then what happens? Of course she does. And so I would say there are some problems there.
Felt the same way too. So, and to me, I think all of this kind of culminates in the fact that this should by all means be a fantastic film. If they just would have put a little more, rounded out those characters a little bit, maybe cut down a little bit of the chase scenes, or just made the film shorter. I think at a certain point I was just fatigued by too much action for too long. Well, for me, I like movies where the end of The Matrix, where the character arc culminates into an action sequence where he has to overcome something, become something else, and then through action fulfill what he's trying to do in the script. And I don't feel like this movie really did that. There is kind of that point where he decides to stay and help them, but I don't think he really comes to it on his own either. It's his creepy flashback head crazy daughter thing that flashes on and is like, you go help them, I'm going with him. And he's like, all right, fine, whatever.
Yeah, well,
let's go drive some cars back through some other cars and just have total carnage. But maybe transitioning over to the good side, I mean, the carnage is pretty superb. I mean, the cinematography is just absolutely gorgeous in this film,
I love how it's just a beautiful film in general. Like, it's pretty to watch, I've never seen a post-apocalyptic movie where the end of the world looks so nice, because you sit and the colors are so bright and vibrant, and you're just like, wow, this is not like the normal post-apocalyptic movie where it's like the colors are so bleak, they're always just washed out, and there's nothing to them, and like this one.
It kind of reminded me of 300 almost cinematically, like it had the same kind of color tones and detail and.
I just, like I said, I just thought it was I thought it was just a pretty movie to watch in general. Like, it just, the colors and everything. And then also the fact that it's just nonstop. Like, I will say to you, Nick, that I didn't think, any of the chase scenes, it got worse over the end, I guess. I don't want to say worse because it's not worse, but that it kind of diminished. I thought the last chase scene was pretty legit. I thought, all throughout the movie, the chases were I thought they escalated gradually
over the whole movie. Yeah, maybe I need to watch it again. I just got a little fatigued, and I thought at the end, and one part of that maybe, I'm a huge fight scene guy. So when you introduce a guy, let me bring him up, at the beginning of the film, it's just a complete BA, muscle-bound, crazy person.
Shooting what looks like a grenade launcher machine gun.
Yes. When you introduce him in very early on in the film, my mind instantly goes to MadMax is going to fight that guy. So now you got me in the seat thinking for the whole movie, I'm going to get to see that fight scene. If I don't, I'm walking away unhappy, from this movie. Now,
I'm unhappy.
Spoiler alert. There is a fight scene between them, but I was not very impressed with it.
No.
To me, it started awesome. He just picks him up and throws him. Picks up MadMax and throws him, and I was like, this is going to be epic. And then it just didn't go there. So I don't know. Does anybody else feel that? Or was it disappointed? Or is that just me being every time I see a big guy, it's like somebody needs to fight him?
Well, I thought when you look at the two villains, there was no real fight or personal conflict between the two of them.
Yeah.
Even the main bad guy, It's gonna drive me nuts. The guy with the teeth mask.
Yeah, it's
like,
Joe, but I can't think of
but,
what.
I'm gonna have to look it up anyway.
What his
But
name is.
like he didn't really have any kind of conflict between any of the other main villains. Like I thought his like character went out quick. Like I didn't think they drug it out whatsoever. So, and then also same thing with Nathan Jones. Nathan Jones' character, the big dude. Like they showed maybe a few scenes with him, and then it just truck flips, and then that's it. you know. So
A lot of truck flipping in this one. And I
Which-
liked
that
is like trucks would flip and people would fly off it like, and they would just live. It's just like, we're gonna jump into the sand. We're good. Let's get on another one.
Well, and
Let's go.
I thought that. Well, I'll bring up that point later when we talk about more things we liked about the movie. But yeah, it was kind of just ridiculous how everything just explosion, and then like the guy walks away and he's fine, or he's just torn up under a truck, which was, well, it's fun.
Good
Yeah.
family fun.
It is good family fun. I don't know why you wouldn't bring your kids. to
Yeah,
this
kind
movie.
of jumping into the stuff that I liked about it was probably to go back if I haven't used this picture too much, but kind of just the texture of the movie is what I'm calling it. Just kind of the vision of a kind of long in the tooth director who has been around the block, has has worked through his craft issues and is at the top of his game at the age of 70, obviously, because this movie was insane. I mean, the pacing, the action, the kinetic feel of the whole
Yes.
movie, and just the weirdness to it was spectacular. I don't know. I like when a movie's just so weird you can't really get a grasp on it, and I felt that a lot in this movie. Like weird things were happening all the time.
Well,
I mean,
from the start, when
but
you
just
have-
look at the production
Yeah.
value in the props and the design alone. Just to bring up a couple of the pictures, like the cars themselves were just
Yeah.
amazing.
They reminded me of the Munsters cars, though. Like, I could not get that out of my head the entire time I was watching it. I was like, did they raid the Munsters?
Dual 50
Like-
Cadillacs just stacked up on each other.
But I really felt that George Miller, the director, really brought kind of a mise-en-scene to the film and a feel to the film that I haven't seen in a movie in a long time. Just a complete immersion into this world from the get-go. From moment one, you're like in this weird world. At no point did I question it. At no point was there holes in it. You know what I mean? It was just this like completely seamed together quilt of a world and a feel and a tone that I think you only get from like master directors that have been doing it for years. I mean, I felt the same way when I watched Prometheus, with not Tony Scott, but Ridley Scott directing, an older director that really has control over what he puts on screen. Now that movie obviously I didn't like as much as this film, but I think had mixed results. But I really felt the same thing where the feel and the look of the world was so matured and well put on screen and just beautiful to look at and really fun. So that's what I really enjoyed about the movie the most, was that it never really breaks from that. Every time a new character is introduced, every time something new happens or a new vehicle comes in, or a new environment they go into, I thought it was very well thought out and very well lensed and put on screen and just fantastic. I mean, remember the bikers? When the bikers show up,
The biker grannies.
the motorcycles.
Yeah.
Wrong.
I remember thinking
That was
kinda,
one hole because I was just like, nobody who drives a motorcycle is going to be able to handle sand like that. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't happen. Like, sand is one of the most dangerous, trickiest things to navigate. I was just like, there's hauling balls through the desert on these things. Like, clearly, apparently, there are a couple of people out there who can do that. But I was like, are these guys really going to be the top, the cream of the crop as far as bikers go?
Yeah,
Like,
well, when they showed up, just like one of them pops up, and I almost felt like it was like watching Star Wars, like this fully realized universe where this, a sand guy with all this mask and everything on pops up and like, what? It was like totally, I thought that's a cutaway in a Star Wars movie, on Tatooine. But
Oh, yeah.
so I think it's the same level of just that same level of creativity and costume design and set design and cinematography mixed together to make this just really fleshed out world. So I totally enjoyed that. It was super fun. I liked that it was kinetic and crazy and insane off the wall, but I almost feel like for being a rated R movie, it didn't take the bar high enoh. Like it should have
didn't
just
seem like an R movie to me at
no, it should have
all.
just
It
knocked
wasn't
that bar.
even
Like I was
close.
expecting it. Like it was crazy, but I was expecting it to be just completely, batshit crazy.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term.
Well,
And-
I thought there was going to be a whole lot more gore to the violence, and there really wasn't.
Yeah, they kind of hid it behind everything.
That was something, like, the only real gore is maybe the death scene of one of the main villains, and then other than that, there is nothing. Like, that's why I was kind of just confused. Like, why is this movie rated R again? Like, there's really little to no language. Like, you only hear the F-bomb once, and that's good enough for a PG-13 rating.
Yeah.
And then really it's just high-octane action, and other than that, like, violence and stuff was yeah, there's like the violence of like the cars and stuff, but other than that, there's no real hardcore like gore or anything, which is what really surprised me and why this movie was rated R. But it was still fun to watch.
Yeah, I kind of felt like they were probably going for a PG-13, and just the nature of the film itself, they couldn't get it through the MPAA, so it got a rated R. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, those are kind of the few things. Anything else you guys want to bring up about things you liked about the film? I mean, I went off a little bit. I feel like I was a little overhard, but I kind of wanted to bring that other perspective since people have been, it's kind of getting universal praise, I guess. But I thought it was just a little bit hollow on the character side, but you can't just, I don't know, I feel bad even complaining about such a monumental achievement as this film. I mean, did anybody expect it to be as good as it was,
No,
I guess?
I honestly, when Nick, when you were talking it up, I was like, well, it might be pretty good. So that's why I came in with no expectation, thinking like I'm not gonna go in and expect the Avengers, and like I left like feeling like, wow, I feel like I just watched probably like one of the best action movies I've seen in the past like 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, it was, yeah.
That's why you need to
embrace.
That's why when I had an
the 80s
argument,
action movie, John.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what action movies used to be like. This is what it used to feel like to go to the movies before your millennial superhero crowd came in and ruined it.
But we
Any
enjoy our
response to
superhero
that?
shows.
I mean, I think
Nothing.
it's good. Everything was good except for, I don't want to say the writing, but the dialogue and the interaction between the characters.
Yeah, it kind of
like,
wasn't that great.
Other than that, visually, like when it started, I was just like, God, like I can't imagine having to be like the set designer and the costumes. Like,
oh man,
especially
I'd hate to be
when
the
they're,
stunt
you know,
person in this entire.
Oh,
movie.
Can you
it'd be
imagine doing anything on this film?
No.
Like, I think that's one of the craziest parts is when you think about every frame of this film was shot in the most inhospitable environment possible. Yeah. In the most extreme nature and way possible. You know what I mean? Using no CGI. Every one of the stunts are just amazing to watch because the whole time I'm watching them, I'm thinking, like, how did they achieve this? This is a whole bunch of guys with high-dollar camera equipment out in the middle of the desert, driving
everywhere.
cars.
Hanging on poles.
Yeah. Driving back and forth. All that stuff was nuts. How did they achieve any of it? I don't know. It's so monumental.
I will say, like, one of my favorite parts in that entire movie is the heavy metal band leading the charge.
Okay, is that in the original stuff? Like
I don't know, but all I know is that was
fantastic.
The coolest thing ever. Like, I'm just like, why doesn't the U.S. Army do that? Okay, we need, if we're invading a country, just have a heavy metal band with a blind guy with just messed up.
As if Americans aren't hated enough.
Just destroying,
just
shredding metal and just like leading the charge. I mean,
and
come on.
I love that he didn't care about anything that was going on other than just shredding that guitar. Every time he'd get knocked off, he'd be right back like, I got to get back to my guitar.
And what made that guitar even better was the fact that a flamethrower, and then I read later that it's actually the guitar actually plays with the flamethrower.
Oh my God.
Which made it even cooler. I'm like, I want this thing now.
So John spent a couple days on eBay, basically, is what you're saying, trying to find this thing.
I'll just build one myself.
I think that's one of the winning factors of the film too. Is just like the craziness like that. Those are things that like the early films were probably felt just as crazy back in '84 when somebody saw this movie because it does a lot of that crazy camera stuff is straight from the first movie, like where the camera in the beginning of the film quickly zooms in and this crazy zoom in into the car as it wrecks and Mad Max is crawling out of it. Like that's a shot taken straight from the other movies.
What about how it was shot, like the first real when Mad Max is like in there with the war boys and he's running out, and how it seemed like fast forwarded or like the shutter speed was like really high? Is that something that's normal? Because that was something that threw me off too.
That's what I'm talking about. Where he took like on a formal level. Usually, I don't know. I just wasn't expecting of it out of a director. Usually, as directors get older, they kind of get a little more conservative in their style. Maybe is what I usually am used to. But it seems like George Miller went the opposite direction. Man, his movie got more kinetic, more crazy. He was bringing more just awesome. That's the cinematography, not just the look of it, but the way that the camera moved in the film is absolutely nuts. Like there's a lot of shots that just come zooming in all the time. Cameras moving. Like imagine how hard it is in all that environment we just talked about to then move the camera constantly through it. Like just making a simple move with a camera as a video guy is amazingly hard. Now, put it on that scale, and I think
And a
that's
steady
where it's
camera,
just,
by the way. There's like
it's just
little to no
killing it.
shaky shots in this movie, which makes it even better.
No, yeah.
Because they're all smooth, but they're just ridiculous. They're crazy. And
I know, and
it
he's
drives
just
me nuts.
a 70-year-old man just spanked every young director in Hollywood.
Oh, and it was
basically,
fantastic.
You know what I mean? Just, my favorite review was somebody said, I forget who it was, but somebody said this movie makes Fast and Furious look like the Muppets.
Yes.
And I was like, yep, that totally hits it on the head. But anything else anybody wants to say to kind of finish up thoughts on this guy?
Liked it. Still don't know why.
Still don't know why I'm going to have to do
I'm
another
still
view.
not there, apparently.
All right, well, love it or hate it, it seemed like everybody had a pretty fun time
it's
in the theater with it. But I think that kind of wraps up this segment. We are going to tease a segment that we have been having a hard time getting back
We
to,
have
guys.
teased on every show pretty much
Every
for the
show.
last like 6 shows. So
For
Yeah.
the past month and a
the
half.
past month, yes. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Terribly Entertaining, which is a segment that we have started, like a month and a half ago. We're going to get back to it, guys. Our
It's
one
coming.
fan,
we
whoever's
got Under
listening.
Siege. We got
And
that one
soon
in.
to be watching.
And we're going to do a review on Beautician and the Beast. Shannon, can you tell us a little bit about it?
I mean, I can. This was
Just real
not my
quick,
legitimate
teaser,
pick.
just a
I
teaser.
said it jokingly, and Nick has been so into it that we have to do it now. But basically, Fran Drescher is a.
Is it
she's-
Dresser or Drescher?
I don't know.
I thought it was
Whatever
Drescher,
it is.
but
The one from The Nanny.
You ruined
she
it.
is the. She's
Never
a
watching it now.
hairdresser and mistaken to be a teacher, and so this president of some Eastern European country decides he's going to bring her in as a private tutor, and his basically personal assistant or whatever knows or realizes that she's not a teacher and
Okay.
tells her to cover it up, and then romance kind of
So,
ensues, and they're trying to
By all means, a terrible film, but you love it. Is what
I
you're saying.
like
You
it.
enjoy
I didn't
watching
really
it.
think
Okay.
anybody else was gonna like. I think you guys are all gonna. You might at least tolerate me, but I think John and Kurt are
all
gonna
on
hate
board.
me. I know you are. Like I said, it occurred to me the other night. I was about to be like, forget Beautician and the Beast. Let's do Surf Ninjas. Like,
Oh, God,
if we could
no.
find that one. That would be
No.
great.
I would do Surf Ninjas. That'd be awesome.
Have
No.
you seen Surf Ninjas?
It's
I
been
haven't.
since
We
I was.
can't do it then. No. But Beautician
Just
and the
got shut
Beast, like,
down.
it'll be all right. Would not, I need to disclaim, it would not have been, like, my legitimate choice. I threw
Okay.
it out there as a joke. You guys are going to hate me.
Hey, you know
So I
what? But
apologize in advance.
what makes this better
like
is
it.
all of us are watching it. Because in all honesty, if
So
I
So
were to
you all
watch it
can
by
just
myself,
look at me and throw stuff
I
at me,
would die.
basically.
yes, we'll bring food and just chuck you.
That's kind
all
of what
we're
I
gonna
think
do.
is going to happen. Everybody's just going to be giving me dirty looks. Like,
All right,
how
well,
long is this
stay
movie?
tuned for
Longer.
that review.
Next-
I mean, everybody's
the
on the
next
edge
month.
of their
Next
seat, I
time,
think. And don't
hopefully.
forget that it's
And-
got Timothy Dalton, Mr. James
Yeah,
Bond
it does.
himself.
Ooh.
So.
In it,
Oh,
so there
that's
is
why
that
he wants to
upside
watch
to
it.
it.
So
But
that's why.
well, let's take
That's why
a
he wants to
little
watch it.
divider scene here and go right into.
Perfect.
I'm just going to explain everything that happens on screen now, and go into our top 3 that we're going to talk about in just a second. Here we go.
One pause.
All right, we're back, and John is looking at his phone.
Well,
Busted.
busted.
I have my top 3 on my phone.
I'm glad that you have top 3 because I don't have.
Well,
more
don't
than
worry. I
one,
just got
so.
mine literally before we started the
This
show.
is
so it's
like
gonna be
my
good.
realm right here.
I've not got them yet,
post-apocalyptic
so
stuff.
I'm working on it. You guys might
Really,
have
Kurt?
to go
Yeah,
first.
you're wrong.
Okay,
It's
so
post-apocalyptic.
Kurt, we'll start with you then. If you've got,
Pick your tween movie that you
okay.
really like.
you can go ahead and feel free to talk about it a little bit because Shannon and I
sorry.
are going to peruse our phones here for post.
I love that you came up with this topic, Nick.
Now, you know what? I've already got it anyway. We can go with any of these. So basically, it's our top 3, but since we had 3 different topics to choose from, I think we're going to do all 3 and just pick whatever you want. So this is our
There's
top
3 of them?
3, either post-apocalyptic film, favorite film car, or vehicle-centric film. So you can pick any one of those 3, and we're going to start with Kurt. Go ahead, Kurt.
Okay, yeah, then I'm gonna do post-apocalyptic then, and my third one is going to be Snowpiercer. Now, a lot of you know I'm a zombie guy, but I figured that I should probably throw
You
in
are.
one that is not all just zombies, because the rest are. But Snowpiercer, what I really liked about it is it brought in an interesting element of, you're in a train. You're going around the world, and it's just like nobody goes outside, and there's a hierarchy in the front of the I almost said bus, the train, and there's a low hierarchy in the back, and then, it's your classic, the lower going against the higher, and I enjoyed every minute of it. It's funny, I didn't really know much about it going into it. We watched it for the show. And we did a review on it. I don't know what episode it is, but go check it out. It's somewhere floating somewhere.
It should be on
online,
Netflix, I
but
believe.
it's
still.
floating somewhere.
I don't know if we have that one online, but you can look it up. Just keep listening to the radio.
One day
It'll play
we'll get
again.
it.
Someday.
Yeah, we'll get it.
All right. Well, that was Kurt's number 3,
On the
Snowpiercer.
post-apocalyptic films, yep.
So, John,
Snowpoker.
your number 3. Is it Snowpoker?
It can't be Snowpoker? Snowpoker.
Snowpoker.
With Captain America. No, okay.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right, so my number 3?
Your number 3.
What's
You're
your
number
live
three?
on
Number
TV.
Apocalypse or-
Don't
My
choke.
number 3 is Reign of Fire, and that is a post-apocalyptic movie with dragons. So obviously,
God. Creatures.
even better.
Crying
Okay.
out
Now,
loud.
the whole movie starts off with a kid who we come to find out will become Christian Bale. And
Batman?
Batman. Yes, Batman. And he's, minor. His mom's a minor, I guess. I have no idea. I didn't know.
Like she's underage.
Sounds like a
She's
great
yes.
movie. What a
No,
good
like
movie.
she mines coal.
Yes, thank you.
Coal.
And so, come to find out, they find this like reservoir or something underground, and it's holding a dragon. And then the dragon somehow rise out of the earth and destroy the entire world. But so we try to destroy them, and so we drop a nuke.
Great.
And
Post-apocalyptic, dragons come back, kill the world. What do you like about it?
obviously- Exactly that. You just explained it. Why should I not like anything else?
I don't know.
Dragons post-apocalypse. That's fine. That's perfect.
Okay.
Dragons cause. I like when the post-apocalypse
I didn't
isn't
mean to
zombies,
kill your role
but when
there,
it's
but-
monsters. No, actually, you fixed it. You
All
summed
right,
it up
good.
for me.
Perfect.
So, Nick, what's yours?
My number 3, I'm going to go with favorite film Cars. Okay?
Oh.
Favorite film Cars.
Oh,
And my number 3 is the Ecto-1
yes.
from Ghostbusters.
Yes.
Has there been, like,
Yeah.
it's a car
You become
that
my favorite person.
for no reason should be cool. No reason that
Oh,
car should be cool at
whatever.
all,
It's-
but then the Ghostbusters jump in it and they throw a bunch of crap on top of it, and it's like the coolest car ever. I always wanted it
It's
as
a
a toy
hearse.
when I was a kid.
Literally a
and
hearse.
it's just got such the coolest siren to it. So it's just an iconic part of that movie and an iconic part of my childhood. That's
So
why
you
I
dig
love
the
it.
car. There's a car in Atumwa that they have tricked
I've
out
seen
to
it,
look
yeah.
like it. And he actually comes up. I think he works in Oskaloosa. You see him every once in a
Yep.
while driving down the road. Like, do you just do the siren? Do the
Yeah,
siren. Do
well,
you see him?
Does he do the siren?
I don't know. It has a light. Maybe it does
I
that.
don't
I don't know.
Well, yeah, but
I don't
his
know
is
about the siren. I've never been in it.
his car is a little like a 2-door or something. Like I don't even know,
it's
gas-free
not
car or
bad.
something.
He's watching
He
the
doesn't
show.
have a real. An Ecto-1 is a
He's
hearse.
calling you out. Nick is
That's
calling
right.
you
That
out
is right.
now.
Thank you.
Remember,
Yeah.
this is an Oskaloosa. Nick is calling you out.
Yeah,
Nick
yep,
Harris.
yep. Your car is just not good enough. So.
Your car is garbage.
Kurt, are you gonna give him my address too? You son of
Yeah,
a.
I'm on it. Yeah,
His phone number is 641.
He lives in Oski.
All right, Shannon, what's your number 3?
So I'm going to use my number 3. The Dawn of the Dead reboot came out, I want to say, like 2004 or so.
Yep.
I just, it had a good ensemble. The action was good, I thought. The story was good. I haven't seen the original for years and years, but I thought the original, for the time was probably pretty good and the effects-wise and everything. But this one, it had the gore, it had the zombie story that was solid cast, writing, not all wrapped in a neat little bow, I kind of like. So overall, I would say, yeah, the Dawn of the Dead reboot would be my number 3.
Nice.
All right, Kurt, what's your number 2?
On post-apocalyptic again. Night of the Living
off
Dead,
front.
the original.
Interesting.
George A. Romero is the father of zombies, of course, or the modern zombie, I should say, anyways. And the thing about zombies is there's the modern zombie is what you see generally today. the slow
In
chasing
the
after you.
wild, what you're looking at here is
Yeah.
a modern
It's a
zombie.
modern zombie.
It's
You know,
the classical one here.
Well, the reason I say this is the before is the zombie belief was you reanimate somebody through a ritual. It's like it's all African culture type of thing, and so this is the first time when they kind of gave it like a disease, and versus like you're doing a ritual, dancing around, and then all of a sudden you bring somebody back to life and make them your slave. That was the original zombie. Somebody that was your slave even after
There's
death.
like a science to this, isn't
So
it?
Bernie.
Yeah,
Weekend
no.
at Bernie.
yeah,
He was
Weekend
a
at Bernie's.
zombie. Bernie. It was definitely Bernie.
So, the reason I like that film is it's just, it's just iconic, and it kind of started the whole modern zombie trend.
Gotcha.
Another one I can bring up would be White Zombie, but
Nope.
I
You
like
have
that.
a limit of one. You have a
Yours
limit of
off.
one number
Done.
two.
No,
So,
yeah, I
John,
know.
you're number two. Cut him off.
My number 2 is
Trying to
a
jump in there.
favorite film car, and so I'm just gonna
Okay.
we're gonna toss it up, and I would
Yep.
say it's the Christopher Nolan
Toss it.
Bat Tank.
The Tumbler.
the
I
Tumbler.
would think
And-
you would know the name of it if it was your number
It's
two.
called the
For
Bat
real.
Tank. You shut your mouth. I already know what it is. It's called the
Garbage,
Tumbler.
just
So
straight
aggressive.
garbage.
Reason
You're
why?
done.
Because number one, it just looks wicked cool. It was a practical, like they built it from scratch, and
Yep.
they actually made this thing, so it made it even cooler. And the fact that I really want the Lego and I can't find it, and I tried
Oh,
building
the
one.
Lego set is quite awesome.
Try building one myself today, actually, and it just does not look the same.
So
Well,
that's
I'll
why
make
I
it my
relate.
quest now to find one, John.
Thank
Only
you.
so I can
I'll
show
find
it to you and not let you play with it.
I'll find you an Ecto one and build it and crash it in front of you.
You son of a.
How dare you?
All right. Shannon, what is your number? Am I going out of order? Or am I next?
Yes, you're next.
Sure, you go first, Nick.
Okay.
You show me.
My number 2, I'm going to begin with a quote. It's 106 miles to Chicago. We've got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Elvis Presley.
You get off my show. No, it's the Bluesmobile. Never has just a plain old 70s janky cop car been so cool as the Bluesmobile. And in the finale of The Blues Brothers, I would argue that film has one of the greatest car chase scenes ever put to film. So even though it's supposed to be a joke film, I mean, they actually stop comedy pretty much for 10 minutes so they can have one of the, at the time, probably the biggest car chase ever put to film in the middle of this comedy skit from Saturday Night Live for no apparent reason, but in this like car that's been doing amazing things. I mean, at one point they're trapped by the Illinois Nazis, and he puts it in reverse, and it just like pops up on its bumper and just flips end over the top of the Illinois Nazis, and then cut to a scene as it just drives off in the opposite direction, and they fly into the sky and die. 2 scenes later, they're jumping that car as it crashes into the ground. It's great. So that's one of my favorite all-time cars. Shannon, what's your number 2?
Fast 7. No, I'm not. It's not Fast 7.
And we
Don't
will never
worry.
go back to that camera again.
Cut it up. Cut it
What
now.
kind of fight film would you like? Fight scene?
No, battle scene. Battle scene.
Battle
dead to me.
scene. No, I actually will say that I think MadMax did it for me. As far the cars were
Whoa.
cool, it was definitely I think it was little parts of it that made it stand out. Like I said, they had the cars rigged so the guys could like catapult themselves back and forth and sway,
Yeah,
kind of to
was
snatch
pretty
people
cool.
up and.
That was an awesome idea.
Between that and they had cars stacked upon cars was I
Yep.
thought kind of an interesting idea. The spikes everywhere, like it actually
Digging
seemed
it,
plausible.
like it.
So that would be my number 2, Mad Max Fury Road.
All right, Kurt.
That means it's time
Number
for
one.
Kurt's
Number
number one.
Number one. All right.
Okay.
We had our montage there.
Where's our guitar
was great.
flamethrower?
That was really good. And we didn't even rehearse that. That was awesome.
Nope, we can
Might
just do
have been
this
the
kind of
best
stuff now.
one.
What? Number 1.
Okay.
Yep.
We just need cameras
Too far?
like
A
zoom
little
in
too
on our
crazy
face.
there.
All right, back
Somebody
it off,
is,
Kurt. Take us home.
My number 1 is 28 Days Later. Another. This I wouldn't say so much zombies. It's like a
It's
rage
zombies.
virus. But yeah, I mean you could call it zombies. And the reason I
Nick's
say
saying no, it's zombies.
I
I
don't
told
care
Always
what
shaking
Nick
his
has to say.
head
The
is Nick.
reason I like this is
No, I'm
because
just saying this pick is as bad as John's. Every movie has to have a monster in it. Every movie that Kurt picks has to have a zombie.
Well, if it's a post-apocalyptic world, I mean, it's pretty close to the heaven if it's better than Mad Max. But anyways,
Go ahead,
let me
Kurt.
defend
Sorry.
That's
myself.
awesome.
I defend my topic here. The reason I chose this is because it takes the modern zombie, like they're slowly crawling toward you or walking toward you, and it adds speed element to it, and that changes the ball game, and that terrifies you. I mean, zombies running at you like a rage virus, and they just beating you up, and all of a sudden, and how fast you change. I mean, there's a drip of blood that falls in the guy's eye, and it takes him 3 seconds, and he's changed.
You're so passionate. It's
And
sad, actually.
What was the one with Brad Pitt that just came out? Isn't that kind of the same story? How they would get, a drop on their face, and then it would take like 30
you're talking
seconds.
World War
It's
Z.
different.
Yeah,
That's
World
what
War
I
Z.
yeah.
That's another
Well,
decent one.
well,
Hoping I
World
didn't steal
War Z,
anybody's answer.
No,
My
I
bad.
was just laughing because Kurt is so passionate. Like he all of a sudden he just busts out of his shell and he's just
He
like
likes
busting into
it.
zombies.
Starts
yeah.
crying,
They
you
got
know,
him
in
in his
front of us.
element.
Zombies is my realm and
I guess
TV
so.
series and stuff.
All
I
right,
guess. Jeez.
John, you're number 1.
And I hate to ring out what's already been told,
Jesus.
but I would have to say my number 1 for vehicle-centric films would have to be the new Mad Max. And reason why is because the feats of engineering that were taken just to build these freaking cars was phenomenal. And like I said, what sold it for me was the heavy metal dude with the flamethrower guitar leading the charge. I mean, and what made it even cooler was like
What
George
do you
Miller.
think they do with those cars after
I
the
don't
movie's
know.
over? You think
Like, do
auction
they
them
keep
off?
them? Like, I would want the double decker like 50s Cadillac. But what made it cool was when they're talking about the heavy metal dude. Is
Put your headphones back on, Kurt. This isn't over yet. You can't walk off yet.
George Miller
Don't you
talked
dare.
to the guy and he said, "You actually have to play this entire time." Like he wasn't like there wasn't a soundtrack playing in the background. He's actually playing the guitar while they're driving full speed chasing
So
the
guitar's a
war.
vehicle?
Say what?
The guitar's a vehicle now?
Yeah, pretty much. It's
Okay.
pretty awesome.
Okay.
Like you want. Yeah. So you know what? I'm sorry that your zombies are terrible. Okay, so
He's good. I didn't know. He's describing a vehicle, but it got back to the guitar. I just wasn't sure.
Let's just roll out of this train wreck over to Shannon for her number 1.
So my
Shannon.
number 1, I wanted to throw a comedy in here. I'm going to give it to Zombieland. I think it kind of reinvented
All right.
it. It made fun of the
Yeah.
genre a little bit, but still, had some scary minutes to it. I can't wait until Zombieland 2 comes out.
I don't
One
think it's
day it
happening.
will happen.
they had a
Don't
show
you ruin
and
this
it was
for me.
they had a series
Don't.
and it flopped.
Yeah,
hard.
well, that was
They
a
did a
huge
series of
disappointment.
Zombieland? Wait, how did I miss this?
What?
They did a series of Zombieland?
Yeah, it was on
It's
Amazon.
supposed to be.
See, but just because the
And they had-
series fails doesn't mean that they're
Yeah,
not
it's
going to
bad.
bring back the movie.
Yeah, the
But I
series-
mean, if they don't get Woody Harrelson, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to go.
And Bill Murray.
And somehow
dies.
bring back Bill Murray.
Spoiler
come
alert
back.
if you haven't seen
Can
it.
come back.
He's
He's a
Bill
man.
Frickin' Murray.
No,
Murray.
Kurt, what's the ruling on that? Can Bill Murray come back?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. All right, moving on
Simple,
to
done.
anything else you wanted to say on that one? Or- no, done? Okay, moving on.
To you.
With my number 1 is the
What?
Shut it off.
What
We're
is
done.
it?
Obviously.
And black is the Tim Burton Batmobile from 1989.
Ooh, the Viper.
With
The Michael
Keaton?
Keaton Batmobile, yes.
Ah.
That is my all-time favorite vehicle in any movie ever. Always been in love with it from the first day I saw it. It's got style. It's
got
BA.
grace.
It's
It's
got
Miss Congeniality.
It's a Dodge Viper
Congeniality.
that's just they just
Swag.
put the details on it. Like, you know what?
It
It's
spanks the tumbler any day of the week.
I would say yes. I agree
Totally
with you.
does.
It totally
It
does.
has a rocket on the back. It's got
You're going to
armor
say that because you're
plating.
controlling the
It's
who's
got
on
machine
camera.
guns. Yes, I can cut to him whenever I want with like a look like that, and then jump back, and then jump back to me and like, yep.
I win.
Did you see that?
Kurt agrees with me. See, boom, back to me. Nothing you can do about it. But I always loved that car. Always had a toy of it as a kid and played with it every day. So.
I still have that toy. So
You'll go blind
Cool.
if you do
Suck it.
that.
I know. I thought of that right after I said it, Shannon.
I had to go there. What can I say?
All right, take us out, John.
all right. Well, that was the Quantum Quadcast
Train
right here on 80.7 KHC and live in the studio. I don't have any music going to me. Whatever. And live here in the studio. And as for there it is. And I think we stuck a fork in it. So as for the Quantum Quadcasters, I am Johnny P. This is
Kurt Sodak.
and in the control room is
Once again, blue screen, Shannon Ferrier.
and
Nick Harris.
all right. That's the Quantum Quadcast for you. Thank you for listening. Peace out.
I hope everybody enjoyed your guitar-powered vehicle.